Hey everybody, it's Lo and welcome back to my channel, Lo Without Limits. In this video, I'm going to talk all about intermittent fasting. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. Before I jump into everything intermittent fasting, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a certified nutritionist. I'm just somebody who's done intermittent fasting a lot. I absolutely love it and the benefits that you get from it. But if this is something that you're interested in, especially if you have an underlying condition, definitely speak with your doctor before starting it to see if it is the best thing for you. Now, intermittent fasting has been around forever, pretty much, because when we were cavemen, we only ate during the daytime. During the night we slept, kind of kept guard. At night, because of the dangerous jungle out there, we pretty much just kept to ourselves. So when the days were shorter, then the eating window was shorter as well. And intermittent fasting, while a part of human history in the caveman period, is still a part of different religions and cultures today. Religions that observe different fasts and things like that is a form of intermittent fasting in a way to be more spiritually connected. Now, over the years, intermittent fasting has also become a lot more popular in the health and wellness space. I myself, many years ago, before my Lo Without Limits YouTube was even a thing, on my little old WordPress site that desperately needs updating, I actually had a post called IFIDK, where I talk all about intermittent fasting and how I was doing it at the time. At the time, I was a bit more, not intense, but a bit more strict with my time window and doing intermittent fasting like perfectly, in a sense. Like, I would have my lunch packed for work and I would eat it at noon. And I was a bit more on top of my intermittent fasting. And since then, I've been in and out of intermittent fasting in waves. I definitely listen to my body and try to eat a bit more intuitively, but my intuitive eating and just how I like to eat is, in a way, intermittent fasting, because I do typically eat within a smaller time window. So there are different ways to do intermittent fasting. The most common one that you may have heard of is 16-8, which means that for 16 hours a day you are fasting, and for 8 hours a day you are eating. So back when I was doing it while working, and a few years ago, and a bit more strict with it, I would start my eating at noon. I would have my almost like a salad. I would always do like an arugula salad with smoked salmon, and that was really, really good, and that was breaking my fast around 11 a.m. or noon. And then I would eat for 8 hours. I wouldn't eat consistently for 8 hours, but I would have all my meals, that first one, a lunch and a dinner, within that 8-hour period. And the reason I would start it at 11 or noon is because I was working up in LA, but still driving home. So by the time I'd get home and have dinner, I would be done eating around 8 p.m. and that would be my last meal. So that would be my 8-hour eating period. And then from 8, after that last meal, up until the next day, I would be fasting, which is pretty easy to do. I know 16 hours seems like a lot of time, but when you think about it, half that time you're sleeping. So it's really just not having a super late dinner or late night snacks and then not waking up and putting food in your mouth right away. And it's actually a lot easier to do than it sounds, but if it still seems too intense but you're interested in intermittent fasting, you can even just do a don't wake up and eat right away and don't eat right before bed. If that's something that you're doing, just slowly start to expand that window, even doing a 14-10 and eventually getting yourself to 16-8 if that's something that you're interested in. Now, most of the time today, I do still follow a 16-8 intermittent fasting way, because I will wake up and most of the time I'll just have coffee. You can do coffee, do waters, teas, just nothing that's like a sugary coffee, like a heavy latte or anything where it's a ton of calories and sugars that would essentially break your fast. But I wake up, I have coffee, and I'm not really hungry until noon. And at that point, I'll have like eggs or something. And then around 3-ish, I'll have a meal. Lately, I've been having my factor meals, and then another one in the evening, or making something light, like a little salad in the evening, or vice versa, doing a salad around 3 or 4, and then something else around 7. While I'm not intending to do a 16-8 fast, that's just kind of how my body is working. And I don't know if it's because I did it for so long that that's what my body is personally used to, but that's what I do. And doing that form of intermittent fasting is super beneficial. Doing the 16-8 version of intermittent fasting is also really good for your digestion, because Eating super late at night is not great for your digestion. It also makes your sleep really poor because your body's working on digesting and you can't have a great sleep. I've talked about this in a few videos before. So by eating further away, like earlier in comparison to your bedtime, that gives you enough time to digest before going to bed. So you can have a great digestion, you're not gonna wake up bloated or feeling gross, and you'll have a great sleep because your body can focus on sleeping instead of on digesting. So that's really great as well, just by even starting slowly by bringing your dinners earlier, not doing late night snacking, and really having a good separation of a few hours of eating and sleeping. Another way to practice intermittent fasting is to have a 24-hour fast once, maybe twice a week. Some people do like doing 2 to 3 days every few weeks or once a month. I personally like doing 1 day once a week, and I do that most weeks. Of course, not every single week. Some days I'm like, yeah, girl needs food. But Austin and I, since we are doing keto, we eat very well, very keto during the week. And sometimes on the weekends, we have a cheat meal. We like our Thai food. He likes his sushi. We aren't going to always be keto all the time. So what we'll do is we'll have our little cheat meal on the weekend, and come Monday, we'll do a 24-hour fast. With these, you can still have water, tea, coffee, just nothing that's going to be bringing in a bunch of calories or you're spiking your blood sugar. So by doing that, you're helping your body detox, you're helping your body just focus on repairing itself. And if you are doing keto, doing that helps you get into ketosis faster instead of just eating keto. If you have a higher carb day and you follow it up with a day of fasting once a week, like how we do, that helps your body get back into ketosis after that higher carb day. And now the health benefits. So many studies have proven that intermittent fasting is great for your heart, your brain, and your body. It is in part because of the reduction in calories that you'll be consuming doing intermittent fasting with the smaller time window, and you're cutting out snacking, you're cutting out late night snacks. So by doing that, you are lowering your risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, and different heart issues. But it's also because of the metabolic impact and just helping your body rebuild itself when you're not eating for an extended period of time. As I was doing more research for this video and looking at more things on intermittent fasting, I came across a study from the University of Alabama where they had 2 groups of obese men with prediabetes eat with different eating schedules. And the results that pertained to intermittent fasting were fantastic. So one group had a 12-hour eating window and a 12-hour fasting window, and the other one had an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour fasting window. So that's 16-8 intermittent fasting. After 5 weeks of eating with their assigned eating fasting windows, both groups maintained their weight, but the 16-8 group had dramatically lower insulin levels, and they improved their insulin sensitivity and lowered their blood pressure, which are all super important health markers. The group with the longer fasting time also didn't complain about being hungry, even though they weren't eating for 16 hours at a time. And it's because of that boost in metabolism that they got, which helped them reduce their calories from additional meals and snacks. Personally, I have an uncle who's always been the chunkier uncle, especially of all my dad's brothers. He's always been the bigger one. And I saw him about a year and a half ago, and he was my chunky uncle. And then we were FaceTiming recently over the holidays, and I did not recognize him. He's a quarter of the uncle that I remember. And when I asked him what his secret was, he just said that he'd been intermittent fasting. He'd been going on a few more runs than usual because his wife, my aunt, loves to run. So he's been joining her on a few, but he said that intermittent fasting and just cutting out that snacking has been super helpful because he realizes that he doesn't need to be eating all the time, and he's not feeling hungry from it. He's realizing, oh, I was just snacking to snack, not because I was actually hungry. So it's also helped him improve his hunger cues and listening to his body. The New England Journal of Medicine also published a super in-depth review all about intermittent fasting and its different benefits, including improved brain function, cellular health, and less inflammation. Intermittent fasting has also shown to help lower insulin, and by lowering insulin, your body uses fat as the energy, and that, coupled with the lowering of blood sugar, helps to reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes. For yourselves, fasting, whether it's a 24-hour fast once a week or once every 2 weeks, or doing the 16-8 intermittent fasting, gives your cells time to repair and get rid of any old proteins, which in turn lowers your cancer risk, strengthens your heart and your tissue function. And a strong heart leads to improved blood pressure, as well as a healthier resting heart rate and better endurance. It also lowers the bad LDL cholesterol and blood triglycerides, which are big risk factors for heart disease. And this also reduces your inflammation overall, which is a big risk factor for a variety of chronic diseases like arthritis and different gut issues. Some of the proteins that get cleaned up when you're fasting and your body has time to clean up all that junk that's lying around are beta amyloid and tau, which have been found to lead to age-related brain diseases like Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's has also been shown to start in the brain 10 years before the onset of any symptoms. So by taking care of your health and your brain now, you can reduce your risk in the future. Because once you start showing signs of Alzheimer's, it may be too late to improve your brain function and reduce that. So definitely start now. The younger you are just means that you have more time to provide a longer, healthier life for yourself, but at the same time, it's never too late to start. Plus, a healthy brain leads to better cognitive and memory function. So maybe I need to do it a little bit more, because sometimes I'm like, where am I? But I also think that the pandemic has had a little bit of just the brain's losing it, you know? And of course, there's the weight loss benefit, which is what gets people interested in intermittent fasting and maybe why you clicked on this video. Fasting also increases your human growth hormone and norepinephrine, which help your body burn fat. And by doing that, it's also boosting your metabolism, which is helping you crave less food and move your body more, two things which are very important in weight loss. And because your body burning its fat stores, you aren't going to lose muscle in the same way that you would if you were not intermittent fasting, but just cutting calories or doing excessive cardio, that your body would want to burn muscle more in order to save energy, because muscle does require so much more energy. But by intermittent fasting and still eating healthy and a nice, well-balanced diet, your body's saying, you know what, we don't need these extra fat stores. Let's burn those for our energy instead, which is very similar to keto in that sense. Now, intermittent fasting and all of its benefits sound amazing, and that's because it is, but again, not a doctor, not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, and definitely look at your own lifestyle and speak to your doctor if this is something that you're interested in. Don't get into this for the sole benefit of losing weight. Yes, that comes, and that is a little side effect and a nice little bonus to it, but there are so many other benefits as to why you should do this and look into it, such as the cellular health, keeping your brain healthy, keeping your heart healthy, lowering your risk of type 2 diabetes, and just your insulin sensitivity. There are so many great benefits, and weight loss should not be your main concern. If it is, then just focus on eating good foods, not necessarily when you're eating them. And when you focus on eating good foods, you won't find yourself snacking as much if you just cut out those excess carbs and sugars and things that are making your blood sugar go up and down throughout the day. By focusing on that first, by moving more, by just focusing on your stress levels and everything too, do those baby steps first before jumping into something like intermittent fasting. It's definitely something that comes later on instead of the first thing that you do. And for the ladies out there, intermittent fasting has studies based on men, because they have the same daily cycle every day. For a guy, it's the same, and it's harder to do these studies on women because throughout the month, women's bodies and hormones change so much, and intermittent fasting does have a little effect on hormones. So if you are dealing with hormonal issues and you want to focus on that, I highly recommend, again, not a doctor, but just sound advice, to work on your hormones, get that in check first, eat for your period. I have videos all about that and just how to take care of your body and to feel good without having to rely on excess hormones and things like that, just to get your hormones right, and then you can focus on other things, because jumping into intermittent fasting could further exacerbate any hormonal issues that you may be having. And by just balancing out your hormones and getting in tune with your cycle and eating well for your cycle, that in itself you will get so many benefits out of if you are looking at this for weight loss. So by fixing your hormones and just working on that and focusing on that first, you will see those benefits already. You will have a clearer mind, you will feel better, you will have more energy. And then again, similar to just wanting to lose weight, once you get that right first, then you can try out something like intermittent fasting, but don't jump into intermittent fasting right away. Again, talk to your doctor and see if this is the best course of action for you. It's just another little puzzle piece into a healthy lifestyle, but it's like one of those middle puzzle pieces. Like, you can't get to that middle piece and put it together if you don't have the edges figured out. Is that a good puzzle analogy? I always do the edges first, so that just kind of made sense. Well, I hope you learned something new about intermittent fasting, and I would love to hear your experience with it as well. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below what your thoughts on intermittent fasting are and what you want to see more of on my channel. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe. I upload a new video every Wednesday. So until the next one, thanks for watching.